So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode, we saw a few events happen, but they're not important. The main one that happened is the beginning of World War One, as the Italian country invaded into the French country after a skirmish, or one of the big skirmishes. It's the biggest skirmish yet, and this resulted in the Germans deciding that the Triangle Alliance would declare war upon the Diamond Alliance and start the war. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe. This is definitely the biggest video yet, and it may be the longest yet, so yeah, let's get straight into it. So straight away in the war, the French Union is actually quite strong. They don't really need to use their army history, so they will be able to capture this major city here and actually do quite well. Same thing with the Italians as well. They will focus around the this area here and start to invade further into the French country. And yeah, I don't know what I was saying there, but yeah, nice. We will though see the Hungarians start to invade into the Italians over here, as they are fully mobilised now at this point, and will start their invasion into the eastern part of the Italian country. While China will now start sending troops across the Pacific to get to Portugal, which will then be given over to, this is really around the world. They have two options. They could either go around through here and get to the Americas and do this, or they could also, I guess, use the trade route map, which I haven't actually used in a while, to send troops along. I don't know if that's legal or not. But I want to also say quickly, I haven't used a trade route map, and that is because I don't think we really need it anymore. It's definitely a good thing to have, but I don't like having trade routes. It's just every episode you have to update them, and I don't want to sound lazy here, but I just don't like using them. Anyway, back to the war. So we see the French Union actually do amazing at fighting. The Italians didn't know they were this, strong and organised. So they will be able to actually make an encirclement of this city here and box it in completely. This is a pretty populated French city, so it'd be bad if they lost it. And the Italians are going to kind of start to send lots of troops here, but not so fast, as a country that hasn't done anything, a country that actually invaded a country in the last few episodes, that hates the Diamond Alliance with all their heart, is going to join this war on the side of the Triangle Alliance. I'll give you I'll give you a hint. A few hints. They're very old, they were very important, and they used to have a massive empire. The country in question is Albania. Albania will decide that enough is enough from the Diamond Alliance. They don't like the area being infringed on even more, so they will join the Triangle Alliance. And I just want to say, they are definitely the strongest country in the Balkans. They are probably about 2 times stronger than Romania, the second strongest country. Hungary is the strongest, but they're not really in the Balkans, I wouldn't say. So that is just what I would like to say here. The Albanians are very strong, and all these other countries are quite weak. So the Albanians, the Italians didn't really think they were as strong as they used to be, will start invading into the countries over here, just like this. They'll invade into the green country. They'll also start going into the blue one over here, and even a bit into the brown one. Anyway, the Italians will see this and start to send troops down to the Balkan countries here to hopefully help them out. Well, they plan for a possible landing into Albania. And on this border here, it's quite hard to fight, but it conserves the Alps. But there will be a few points that the Germans will kind of make a small invasion into. These are extremely small invasions and weak invasions, but they're able to do it nonetheless, and they will just kind of try and stick to these areas now. Possibly, maybe not trying to not do anything else. But they'll only send a lot of troops over to Hungary, as they are going to be threatening this major city here. Don't know how much that cut out if it did. But we did see the Albanians, or maybe the Albanians start, and the blue country start to send some stuff over to Albania. Anyway, over in East Asia, there's going to be some stuff going down over here. Japan is not very fond of the Diamond Alliance. They have actually very good relations with the Triangle Alliance, but not with the Diamond Alliance, and China's in that, so yeah. But they have had enough of China trying to or send a lot of troops down and changing the war a lot. They want to stop this happening, and they don't want, and it's looking like the war isn't going to end how they kind of want it to end, with a lot of, or I'd say probably at this point the Triangle Alliance or the Diamond Alliance is sort of winning. Maybe it's pretty much a tie, but they are maybe winning a little bit more. So the Japanese, early on in the war, only about, I'd say, like 2-3 months after it started, will send an ultimatum to China. You either leave this war, leave the Diamond Alliance, and stop supplying all the members in Europe with troops, or else we will declare war upon the Diamond Alliance and join on the side of the triangles. The Chinese will be like, nah, stupid, and they will burn the ultimatum. So yeah, but this just kind of, the Chinese emperor, he really doesn't like what Japan has done here. He finds it quite insulting. So in the early hours of December 8th, 1657, we see the Chinese invasion of Korea start, as they will officially declare war on the Six Star Alliance first, actually, instead of the others declaring war on them, which is a bit weird. They will also tell the country down, or the ally in Thailand down here, to start an invasion of the Vietnamese country, and it'll go quite well for them, so quite straight away. And the Japanese are quite shocked by this, as in the first few weeks of this war, they're able to capture quite a lot of territory. But the Koreans really aren't doing very well. Aren't doing very well in the government right now, as they are a democracy, as you can see on the ideology layer. But they are kind of they have a really sketchy leader. He's been actually skipping elections for the last few years, and the people of the country don't want him in power anymore, but he keeps refusing to step down. And he's starting to become a bit of a dictator, which goes against the constitution that Korea made. Anyway, going back over to Europe, we're going to see some more fighting over here in the French country, as the Lime team will send some forces up to capture this city over here, a big move in this war. We do see the French now, with lots of German troops arriving, started to push back against the French Union troops. And they even start pushing over here and nearly pushed them fully out of their country. This is a first wind by the French Union before the French are really prepared. So we do see a small French invasion start from the north now. Over here in the Americas, though, we are going to see some fighting with the colonies, as the Portuguese are going to invade quite far into the French colony along the pretty much the whole border. They have a lot of troops stationed around here. This is going to be always a big fight and war, a big part of the war if they ever did start. The one place they didn't really fortify was over here, and that's because of the Rockies, so they're not really going to be able to break through here. But over here they didn't fortify it very well. And this is going to lead into the French actually taking quite a lot of this land and doing well in this western, the eastern United States area. And you get my western east, wests and easts figured. I'm going to go get a drink. I've got a really dry mouth at the minute. We also see a bit down here where the Portuguese are going to invade into the Germans. This is into their colony down here in the Brazil. Or just you could call it the South American colony, because it's not fully in Brazil. It's also got parts like Venezuela and over here. So yeah, there's going to be some battles down here as well, fought between the, or back in Senegal with the Germans. But a country that's really not going to like the war that's going on in the minute is Russia. Russia is furious that there's a war going on in Europe, so they're going to kind of start to say, hey, don't do this. And European countries are going to be like, they really don't care what Russia thinks. I mean, Russia is the strongest country in the world. Maybe they might be numbers 2 at this point. Maybe China might be a bit stronger than Japan. But they are one of the strongest countries in the world. And they could definitely take over a lot of Europe if they wanted to. But people know that Russia, it's all talk and no bite. They're not going to do anything. Or will they? They'll be a lot more competent than the French Union, or should I say, les incompetents. And then they'll start their invasion over here. I just found that part of Home Alone. But they're actually going to do extremely well in this area here. And they're going to kind of start to figure out another way to possibly invade into Germany. Not yet though, as we're going to take a look down in the Balkans. As the pushback is starting, as more Italian troops are starting to arrive down here. So the it's only going to be this country actually who's going to be able to push them fully out and even start a small invasion into the north. They are probably, if the Balkans were to be split into strong and weak, they'd be in the strong half. They're not overly strong, but they're also not weak as well. We also see them capture this major city here, a pretty important one. The Albanians are now going to lock in, as they will send these guys back a lot. They have a very militaristic king who wants to reform his old empire. But no, I mean, they're going to just start to invade more into the country and even threaten the capital city here. Not even threaten, they get to the gates of it. But I'm going to increase the brush size a bit now because I think it's time. But the, what is going on? But the Hungarians are going to start to get pushed back over here, as these guys are going to actually do quite good in them, as they're not really focused. They think they can just leave us at the minute. To kind of just ferment a bit, and then they'll attack them. As they are more focused on this Lime team front over here, as they capture this city, and they also capture this city from the Croatians as well, and also invade a bit further into the Bosnians, actually capturing the capital of Bosnia, and starting their invasion into Montenegro, if I can get the right brush on, so yeah. The Germans are actually going to be able to create a bit more of a consolidated front down here, as they will decide to actually stack up on this border, and kind of push around. But then the Lime team is going to decide to move some troops over here and actually batter the Germans quite a lot. The Lime team is a lot stronger than the Germans are at the minute. The Germans are kind of off their back. They're going to start an invasion of the Germans here. The Italians are pushing in a bit, and it's kind of like quite even down here at the minute. As we also see the French push further into the French Union, and there's going to be kind of 2 plans are made here. One that Portugal says, hey, we'll try naval invasion in Brittany. And the French Union is going to say, no, we want to invade into France. Try our luck again. The Italians are going to take a look at one of their best friends and one guy who just decided to join the team like years after it's created. They'll decide, hey, we're going to side for you. Even though the Portuguese literally offered to use their troops in this, and the French Union aren't even strong, the Portuguese will feel a little bit betrayed here and start to not like the Italians a little bit. We are going to end up seeing a bit of a pushback over here as the French Union are going to start their invasion, getting supplied instead of the Italians, well not really, but instead of the Portuguese actually, even capturing this major city. So yeah, and continuing along this border, capturing this one, and it looks to be going good at first until the French troops actually start to arrive. They were just messing with them, making them look like it would be fun. I mean, it's funny. And they'll start their push into the French country here now. And they'll also start an invasion into the Lime occupied territory, trying to retake back a lot of this land, capturing this city again. And it's going good for the French, but the Portuguese will decide, hey, we're going to have to really pick this up in a minute. Anyway, coming over to Britain, we see the island country finally start to invade into the Germans. In the last episode, they did actually join the Diamond Alliance, and they're going to take quite a lot of Ireland quite quickly. The Germans really aren't focused on that at the minute. It's obviously quite a lot more things they're going to have to be focused on at the minute. So it's basically free land as they meet little to no resistance. Maybe like the British will start to send some troops now, and they'll have a bit of a stalemate here now. Anyway, the Hungarians are going to also fight back now against the Romanians and also the I don't know what this country is. This is like Serbia. They'll fight back against both of these guys, pushing to the border over here. And coming back to Asia, we have the Koreans continuing to get fumbled, as the military is actually going to full on desert this country, and the country will be thrown into anarchy straight away. They did not want to join this war. They do not want to join this. They don't want to join this at all. And there's going to be a coup in the government, which will turn this into a kind of anarchist state. And it's kind of Korea is just going to like completely collapse. This is extremely weird, as they looked to be quite a stable country before, but they were from the inside. The government had a complete coup and a complete collapse now, as the country will go through tens of different governments and trying to figure them all out. But then the Chinese are going to start to invade back in again, and they are presenting themselves as liberators from their cruel, oppressive government. So people are actually going to start to kind of like them a bit, and they will end up occupying all of this land quite early on into the war. And yeah, Japan will occupy this, and also the rest of Korea over here. Korea over here is a very fun sentence. I like saying it a lot. There's going to be some brutal battles fought around here, and it's going to be very interesting later on in the war as some other stuff is going to start happening. Anyway, moving back down over here, we are going to see the Vietnamese push back. They are probably a bit stronger than the Thai, I'd say, and the Vietnamese are more focused on the south in the jungle area, because they are just a lot more trained in that. We also see the Japanese invading the southern part of Tip here, capturing this city, and going up the Chinese coast. Well, not the Southeast Asian tail over here, and they're just going to try and take this whole thing and leave the rest of Vietnam. We see them actually sprout out and grab this major city here, doing very well actually. So yeah, we're going to go back over to the Americas, as the Portuguese are kind of going to just start to stalemate these fronts and try and hold on to what they have. They will start a few more small invasions, capturing this city actually, and just kind of try and put a lot of their troops over here and do well. Coming back to Europe, the Germans are actually going to get fully pushed out of the Lime country, and then the Lime team is going to start their invasions into Germany. However, it's very harsh in the Alps over here, so they're going to it's not going to be very fast as they advance into this country. It's going to be very slow. But the Hungarians are going to try and actually cut the Lime team into two, which will be very bad, as it will cut off a lot of supply lines into the Balkans down here, which the Hungarians are manhandling at the minute, putting a lot of effort into. I don't know why I just saved the map there, but that's horrible. That's not good. We do end up seeing the these guys actually fully come back into here. The Albanians are going to actually come into this country and kind of fully take it quite quickly. The government doesn't want to join up with these guys, but the people kind of want it back with the Albanian Empire. As we see, the Greeks also start to get invaded a lot as well, and this blue country also they get connected with the Aegean Sea. And it looks to be quite good for the Albanians, until the Lime team is going to make a small landing in the western portion of their country, and we'll see this improve, or I guess this go forward in the next few minutes of this video. I don't know. The next while of this war is going to be a lot more. I don't know what's going on today. My head is just not correct. I don't know what to say. Anyway, the French Union is getting manhandled over here, so the Portuguese are going to decide to do something actually quite dangerous, but you'll see what happens. as they will start a small landing over here in this part of the country, a naval landing. Portugal has a very good navy, and this shocks the French, and they're going to go into a panic. And Langley's like, hey, we should have gone with this plan all along. And we actually see the Brittany part of this country, or the capital, get cut off from the rest, and this is going to cause a lot of stuff to go down. As we see the Italians invade further into the French now, as they're like, hey, we're actually getting a lot of land back out of this, and they're also going to fully get their forces put back out. The French are actually in anarchy at the minute, and they're going to lose a lot of land, and we're also going to see the Portuguese further invade a bit more into the French. And the French are kind of collapsing at the minute, so there's going to be something else that happens. As we see the Dutch country over here be invaded, start to invade into the French country. They are allies, but they're going to try and save as much of the country as they can, and hopefully just try and bring back the French. We do see it looks something like this, but the this country here is going to be very, well, the French are just going to be very kind of stuck here now. They are guarding this like hell. This is like 1 million troops here, but this is just going to be guarded because they have the whole army. All of the American colonies will start to quickly fall over to the Portuguese, as a lot of them will secede over. But anyway, we'll move away from there now and go back over to East Asia, as the Chinese are not stopping, as they try and push down into Korea and actually capture the capital of Korea once again, and start pushing down the peninsula. And then we see one of the most bloody battles in this war, naval battles, take place. This is going to be the Battle of Jeju Island. If I want to take a look at naval kind of, things, the Chinese have this, and the Japanese are going to actually have a bit more, being like, this is kind of around the area of Jeju. They're going to have all of this, so yeah. And this is going to be a very brutal war, as we see now. As two, legions of ships will start to sail across towards Jeju Island from the Chinese naval area. The Japanese navy will be alerted of this, and they'll start to come out from their ports in the eastern side of the island to go ahead and fight up against the Chinese navy. As now, the Chinese navy is actually very fast at doing things, so they'll be able to meet up around here, and there's going to be some battles now. As the battle of the southern side will be a very brutal one, but it does actually end up in a Chinese victory here. And the battle of the northern side will be a lot closer, but eventually a Chinese victory as well, as the Japanese navy will be forced into retreat back to the east, this side of the island. And we then see Chinese troops making a landing on the island, taking about half of it within a day. And the Japanese are going to really try and hold on to this island. It's a very viable naval institute with lots of military assets on it. But the Chinese military landing on this island was very equipped and strong, and eventually the whole thing will be taken, and Jeju will fall to the Chinese. An extremely valuable asset for Japan will fall over to China, and it's going to cause a lot of turmoil to happen. And this is like a national embarrassment for Japan, as now more of the country, like first they get the capital of Korea, and now this. So more of the occupied areas over here will start to secede, until Japan will just give up this Korean area entirely, and it will now fall completely over to China. Anyway, down here we're going to see some more Portuguese army start to invade into the Venezuelan areas of the German colony down here in South America. And then we see the march on the French capital taking place. In March of 1659, we see the capturing of the French capital and the subsequent surrender of France. As France will now surrender over to the Allied powers, they will soon be, obviously, the claims will be soon, there'll be the peace treaty, obviously, and then the claims will be annexed, whatever. So yeah, and now these Western European nations will be forced to fight up against the giant of Portugal. The Dutch are actually starting to hold their own, trying to bring back as much of France as possible. They'll attack into Portugal and start to go around here. But then the Italians, who really just, they're going to push a little bit back against the Dutch over here. They just really need to invade into the Germans. They just want to go kind of like this, go up here. But the problem is that, you've got the Alps here, so you're not going to be able to invade too far into here. But then they get a good idea. It's a horrible idea, but if it works, it could win the war for them. They decide to invade the neutral nation here. They will start to invade along here to try and get further into Germany. And this is going to be actually really hated by the Russians. The Russians are going to be condoning this like mad, and it's not going to be very liked. So the Italians are going to invade further down into here, and they'll basically capitulate the nation within a few weeks, I guess. They will actually resist a lot, and this will cause a lot of war crimes to be committed in here, which is not very liked. And the Portuguese will be like, why are you doing this? We're trying to be the good guys in this war, remember? They're kind of being a bit like the Entente in a way where they want to look like the good guys even though they may not be 100% the good guys. I mean, no country in war is really the good guy. There's always bad things that happen on both sides. We do see the Italians actually have something bad happen as they'll be cut in two here, but they'll kind of make up for that with another invasion into Germany from over here, and they'll capture this major city, a pretty valuable one. But then we see the Italians manage to push back around here, and they're actually doing good. They managed to actually fully push Hungary out of their country within a few months, as they will now start an invasion, or a re-invasion into the, I guess, sort of empire. Anyway, back in Britain, the Irish are actually going to be able to take the whole thing over. The British Union are kind of given up. They're more sending lots of troops down to try and liberate France, and the Germans will actually cut a deal with the Irish, saying if you leave this war now and just stop bothering us, we will let you have the Irish, we will let you have Ireland, we don't really need it, so we'll just give it over to you, and the Irish will accept, so they will now annex all of Ireland officially, and take the whole thing. This is quite a big step, and they enjoy this. Anyway, down here a sad event will happen, as the Sicilian Rebellion will try what is known as the last time they will try and rebel. This is a very small rebellion compared to the rest, but then we see the invasion into Sicily, and the Lime team has had enough now. As in the last few episodes, they've been diminishing the populations over here, and they'll start to do it to a big level now, as they'll start to go into this colony and start to, I guess, cleanse the area once again. They happened a few episodes ago, but they're doing it to a whole new level now. They are using it's quite actually I don't know if actually no, I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say they're using gas, but at the same time, like, I don't think it's advanced enough for gas yet. But they're using a lot of horrible methods to get rid of these people, let's just say. And Portugal is gonna be like, dude, what? And they will start to slowly kind of just want to drift away from the Italians. They don't want to be known with this. So yeah. But over here in Asia, we see the Vietnamese push back a bit more, and the Chinese start to go up further, or the Japanese start to go further in the tail of Southeast Asia. This is this point where the Vietnamese will also start to invade into China, and the Japanese are starting to get a little bit of morale back as they will start a small invasion around the coast of this Manchurian area here. Also going into the weird sticky outy bit of Korea, or the former state of Korea, because Korea is very Chinese at the minute. But the Chinese are also not going through the greatest time politically. There are a lot of areas that formerly existed that want some independence, so they will not be doing the greatest, I guess. And they'll start to kind of diminish, or there'll be a few protests around here, but they'll start to actually do some quite violent things in these protests, and it's not very appreciated. But hey, the people are just going to live with it, as it's around the times and stuff will happen. But the Japanese will start invasions into this Chinese occupation. And now over here, the Triangle Alliance are going to start to push back against these guys, going around here and actually doing quite well against the Romanians. But the Italians are going to start another invasion, to kind of spearhead up to this major city, which they hope can just bring them up to the capital and knock Germany out of the war. They're, I guess, the strongest one on the Triangle Alliance. What they are also trying to do is actually get to the Hungarian capital, as they spearhead through here and get close to it, and the Hungarians will move a lot of troops off these Balkan front lines, which will lead to them coming back under the control of these countries. They will be given back as, I don't know, just because the Hungarians can't control it anymore. They're using the troops for other things, and they will give it back to these guys. Anyway, down here the Italians will finally start to make their landing known, and they will start to get to the gates of the Albanian capital, and a battle will be fought here, the Battle of the Albanian capital. This is a massive battle, and it'll be one of the most brutal ones in this war yet. It'll be about 100,000 people die, but in the end, it'll result in an Albanian victory, as they will manage to fully push the Italians out, and the Italian invasion into Albania will be stopped, as the Albanians will now invade into Greece and fully take them out now. And they're actually extremely good at fighting, as they then start their invasion of the Spartan country down here, taking them over, and continuing their invasion into this blue country, capturing this city and getting close to the capital. And they will start invading the Montenegrin country here, going in the southern part of it and kind of climbing up north. But another bad event will happen for the Triangle Alliance, a bad event will happen as the capital of Hungary will be captured. And this will not cause a collapse of Hungary, but it'll cause a lot of turmoil in the country, and they'll start to push further in, hoping to get over here. But then something bad will happen with Russia, as the Russian civilian boat over here will be leaving through this strait over here. The Russian civilian boat will be leaving throughout the Black Sea. This is carrying around 100 of actually VIPs from Russia. Not important people, but they're like quite high up in society. But they will be actually shot down around here as a mistake. They thought this was actually an Albanian boat trying to enter in here. But the Russians are not going to like this, and they'll consider joining the war, but it's not going to end up working very well. The Russians aren't going to end up joining the war, and they're going to they're just going to like kind of threaten these guys with like, "Oi, don't do it again." The Italians don't really care, but hey, they're going to try and look for solutions on how to deal with Russia. Anyway, the Hungarian support is back now, as they will start another invasion into these Balkan countries as well, and start to take back land, capturing the capital of Bosnia. And actually, these guys are going to fully fold over to the Hungarians. They could not handle, and the government will completely collapse at this point. As well as these guys are going to go over to the Albanians, and then make a deal on which these guys will annex Bosnia, and the Montenegrins will be annexed by Albania. And the Hungarians also start to push back against the Gold Country, the Gold Serbians here, and then invade into them from the north, just like this. And the Hungarians will then start their work into Croatia, taking this capital city and also taking this one as well. Then the Italians are going to do something weird again. They keep doing weird things, and they're going to invade into Croatia. And Croatia wasn't even like close to collapsing, so you can't even use that as an excuse. These guys were actually quite far away from collapsing, but the Italians will just invade into them anyway. And this is going to get some sour taste from the people here, and from some of their own allies as well. And even the French country at this point is like, what are you doing? The Portuguese are going to get really angry at this, and we'll see what they do in a minute. Nothing actually, but, you know. But the Italians are going to say that these guys were just collapsing, even though they weren't. And they'll start to actually recapture their capital and invade a bit more into Hungary around this area. They hope that this will cause a surrender of Hungary, but they just aren't surrendering. The Hungarians are just not wanting to at the minute. So, yeah, but Russia is starting to get quite annoying. They are doing a lot of things around this area that the Albanian or the Italians aren't liking. They're trying to like start and fund another Sicilian rebellion, and the Albanian or the Italians are going to hate this. So they're going to kind of do something that we saw similar in World War I in real life. They're going to send a boat or a message to the Caucasian/Ukrainian country and say, hey, we will let you have all your old land back if you attack Russia now. And yeah, it's actually a good offer. But unfortunately, the this Thracian country here had quite a lot of German like military bases in it. So what's going to happen while it's around here? The Germans will intercept this and send this to Russia instead, and say that, hey, this was the Italians, they sent this message trying to get these guys to attack you, so maybe you should attack them back. And the Russians will see this, and they'll be fuming now, and they will say, we officially now, after thinking about this for a while, we officially declare war on the Diamond Alliance, the Circle Alliance, both of us, and the strongest country in the world has now joined this war, and World War I is at its height. Anyway, over here in Korea, we see the rest of the, we see quite a lot of the land around the border start to fall over to Japan, but China is still holding a good front line, and this thing is starting to get stalemated. But then they try to make an invasion or a re-invasion of Jeju, and this will actually go very well for the Japanese, and they will be able to take the island back in quite a shock victory, and then decide, yes, we've got to invade further now into Korea, and we can hopefully then kind of get a peace deal with China. We don't even know if it looks like it's going to be a peace deal at this point. It looks like there's these rebellions, or not even protests, they're starting to turn a bit violent now into mini rebellions. While China are going to be able to beat them quite easily, but at the same time this is quite worrying. Anyway, the Albanians will also start now an invasion into this country here, and going into the brown one if they are on the alliance. Let's just check. Yes, they are. So they'll start their invasion into the brown one here. Just get a better colour for this, but they'll start their invasion into the brown one as well, actually capturing the capital and knocking them out the war. And the Albanians are doing extremely well here, as they also knock out the blue country, and we see that they are doing one of the best, and they have captured a lot of their lands, or a lot of the core lands of the old empire they had. But bad news for the Diamond Alliance, as the Russian military has now been, or starting invasion of the pink Romanian country, now moving in around here, and the Hungarians are going to push this front line back, and the Diamonds are going to start losing to the triangles. But the Italians are going to not care and continue their invasion into Germany, actually going and grabbing this major city, and it looks like they're actually doing quite good as they now push back against the Dutch over here, and it looks like there's nothing that could go wrong for the Italians, could there? Well, the Sicilians will rebel again, and they will actually do quite well this time, surprisingly, compared to the last time. That's because they are being funded by a foreign power. Now the Italians will send their armies down here, and and they will be met with actually a lot of things. They will win a small battle over here. They'll discover something quite disturbing to them, and that is Portuguese weapons with the Sicilians. Turns out that all that stuff that the Lime team has been doing to Portugal, genociding their own people, genociding people in other countries, taking over countries for no reason, going against their back or their old friend, has really started to make Portugal quite angry at them. The French country don't really care anymore, they are actually good friends with the Lime team. But the Portuguese have had enough, and they will officially announce it. We as a country would no longer want to be affiliated with the Lime team or the Diamond Alliance in any sense. So we, as a nation, will decide to leave the Diamond Alliance and officially join the Triangle Alliance, switching sides in the middle of the war. This is known as the Greatest Betrayal, and Carthage is going to see this, that there's an enemy now on their border, and they're going to say, uh-oh. And Italy's going to be like, come on guys, can you help us? And they're going to be like, do you remember that time that the Anatolians were about to attack us? And then you kick us out the Diamond Alliance? Yeah, good luck buddy, adios. The Carthaginians will also leave this war, and now this is looking bad for the Diamonds, as the Portuguese will stay along this front line, and they'll also start their own invasion into the French Union here. And they make a deal with the Dutch to bring back the French, as they will release both of their claims to bring back France as a nation, and they'll also get rid of all occupations over here in the Americas as well. So yeah, and it turns out that during this entire war, the Portuguese have been meeting with the Germans to discuss what would be the the next thing to happen. The Germans decided that they will let the Portuguese into the Triangle Alliance, and now the entire Triangle Alliance is actually going to decide to fund the Sicilian Rebellion, and it will kick into Sicily now, and kick out here, and they'll take all Sicily, and start to move up here, or start to move up the Italian peninsula. Now, this is bad for Italy, as the Hungarians are going to actually recapture their capital, and the Italians are looking like they are on a bit of a rough time at the minute. Anyway, at least it's going a bit better for China, as they will hold a stalemate around this area once again, and start to push into the Japanese areas, and have another battle in Jeju. This is the second battle of Jeju, but it will actually result in a Japanese victory this time. And most of the Japanese will decide to pull off the invasion of invasions, weird, but they'll invade up into the Korean peninsula, starting to take a lot of the land back. Also now here in Europe, the Portuguese are fighting back against the Italians, as they have just had enough of this Italian country. They want them out of Iberia and out of being an empire in general. So yeah, a lot of the colonies actually in the world are going to start to fall over. As for this one in the Americas, getting invaded by the French. The French are going to make a landing over here and start to invade this colony and take it over. They actually have South Africa getting invaded into by Britain, and the Germans are going to invade into this one over here. All the Italian colonies are gone, and they didn't really have a good colonial empire anyway. Also give this land back to the Portuguese now. The French Union capital is going to get taken, or nearly going to get taken, and the French are also going to fully now push back against these French Union forces, as the Diamond Alliance is pretty much alone in Europe now. The Chinese are having to fight against the Japanese, so there's not really as much getting thrown around here. And we are now, I'd say, in the year, 1664. So it's been about 1664. So this war at this point has been going on for 11 years. And it's looking like the climax is coming soon, as a lot of events will start to happen quickly. And the French Union will completely collapse at this point when their capital is captured. And they'll agree to surrender, as their occupation will look something like this. And then, now, it's pretty much all of Europe and some of Romania stuff, and Italy versus all of Europe. But the Hungarians are quickly challenging the Romanians, as well as the Russians, as the Russians will now come down, capture the capital, and the after Albania makes their invasion in, the Romanians are going to decide, yep, that's enough for me today, we're going to surrender. So surrender, and this country here will get squashed now between the Hungarians and the Albanians. So look, it's on like this. And now it's just Italy, as the Germans will be able to fully push them out of their nation in this area here. And also they will start a re-liberation campaign into the this country, this neutral one here, re-liberating it. We also have the French invading down into the Italian occupation zones here, and it's looking extremely bad for the Italians, as they're getting really pushed back over here. So yeah, and the Italians are on the collapse. And they're looking any better over in China, as the Japanese, with a lot of funding now from the Europeans, as the European front starts to get a lot easier to do, we see them kick a lot into Korea now, and manage to, in a really gruesome battle, over 100,000 casualties on both sides here. We see the capturing of the Korean capital once again. And the Chinese, who have been at war for so long, about actually 1 million troops have died in this war, million people, that is, which population in China is around 200 million, I'd say, maybe. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's 200 to 300 million, but I'm going to go back one step. Around actually 10 million people have died in this war from China so far, and that's a lot. But now we see the rebellion of an old country that hasn't existed for a long time. As the Shandong dynasty will rebel, the Shandongians have been dormant for ages. They died or they were last seen in the War of Succession. That was a long time ago, but they are finally back now, as they will start invasions into China, and yeah, they're back and better than ever. This is scary for China, as now more nations are going to think about rebelling. Not yet though, as the Japanese are now pushing back against the Chinese over here, and the Chinese know that there is a slim chance now that they can win this war. But then the Italians will get pushed back fully over here from this point, just like that. And we also see much of the same happening over in the this area. And the invasion of the Croatian country is successful as they re-liberate, or they just liberate it from the Italians. And the slow push into Italian land will now begin from the Hungarians, as the Portuguese will continue to wrap up the coast of Iberia, wanting to finally take the whole thing. They'll also capture the Balearic Islands. Now going up around this area, going into France as well. And then officially stop here as the French want to get a little bit of invasion land in to, I guess, get some of their old land back. That looks too grey. They'll get some of their old land back just like this now, and invading down into the Mediterranean area just like that. And Sicilian Rebellion, this time now being funded by the entire Triangle Alliance. It's gonna they have about 1 million troops fighting down here, and the Italians have the army's been pretty much destroyed at this point. They only have about 100,000 reserves left, and they are starting to conscript their population, doing bad things, putting children on the front line at this point. And the Germans are going to have enough now and start a full-scale invasion of the Italians, actually going through this neutral country this time. So, but that's like an agreed thing, not like an invasion. And the Italians now will start to fumble to the Germans. Their military is deorganized, their population is demoralized, and their government has collapsed. The countries will kind of rush to get a bit more land out of this over here, but the Germans will be the main ones, invading down into the Italians down here, going through the peninsula and around, capturing the capital like this, and just doing all that now. And the Italians now will die, actually in Corsica or Sardinia, as they'll both be captured by the Portuguese now. And the war in Europe has officially ended. It's a Triangle Alliance victory, and it's going to be celebrated. But then there's in China, and China could just surrender right now and get a hard or a lighter punishment for the war. They'll decide that they're kind of like Japan in World War II, with the fact that they believe that it's worse than death to surrender, or death is better than surrendering. So we do actually see the Japanese now making landing inside of Taiwan, capturing the whole island, and they'll continue their invasion into Korea, now doing many things, and actually they'll be able to take the whole of Korea. It'll rebel away into Japanese control. And Japan is going to start off this war. They will annex Korea, just simply because they couldn't bring it back at this point. The government is so bad, and it just doesn't work. Trust me, they will try, but it won't work, so they'll just have to annex this land. So then we see the Japanese now making invasions into China, as China's military, similar to Italy, just won't work at this point. And they basically have now Germans, or the Germans are also going to be starting their own invasion into China, as they'll make a landing in this point down here and start to take a lot of Chinese land, getting around this. We then have the Vietnamese invading in, and them also be able to push back against the Thais, and the Thais are also collapsing at this point, as the Vietnamese will shoot across this over here and start their invasion into the Thailand country, fully taking the capital, and they will surrender. And the Japanese will make a naval landing down in mainland China and take a lot of this coastal land around here and start to just retake the country. The Shandongians, I don't even know if that's how you say it, they will end up taking a lot of this land, as well as many more rebellions, as China will be cut into this, and it looks weird. The Chinese now, the Japanese will make a landing down in Hokkaido, in the Hainan Island, and start to take land around the capital area, getting close, and eventually they will capture it, and the Chinese will officially collapse at this point, and they will be now occupied by Japan until the peace treaty. And World War I has officially ended around the world. I think that's all that's been done. I think that's all that happened, or so that's what's going to happen in this war, I guess. So let's just take a look at a peace treaty now. Hopefully everything will be good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the peace treaty. Let's first take a look at Europe. Over here, first the Portuguese. They're regaining all of this land now. The French Union unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but the Portuguese are all of this land, and they're now looking like this. A pretty good country, and they're going to also take over the Balearic Islands as well as Sardinia down here, and this is going to be all the land they gained from the war. They actually gained quite a lot, and they are now probably the strongest country in the world. No, maybe not in the world, but maybe in Europe. They may be the strongest country in Europe. The French then are going to gain all of this land here, getting some of the old land that they used to have from the Lion Team before the War of Succession, and they've now gained that back, and I think they look quite good now. Then see a weird kind of orangish brown country here. They're going to pop up, and these guys are, I think, do you remember a couple episodes, maybe like around the first episode of the series, if you remember back then, there was a red and a blue country. They used to exist around this area. They now have actually united and formed this kind of union. So they will be looking like this now. Then we see the this country get all this here. This is a little bit just for like kind of the reparations for getting occupied during the war. We then have Germany getting all of this land. This actually looks like a terrible border, so I'm going to clean it up a bit. That looks slightly better, but they actually gain Venice down here. Some pretty viable land, and they're going to hold on to this land now, and it's going to actually give them quite a lot of economical benefit. And down here we actually see the Sicilian Rebellion finally come to life and become an official country. And their capital is going to be down here in this one here. Well, we also have this French country having this in this one. And we're also going to have a Corsican country actually pop up now. And they are going to look something like this. I'm actually going to change that colour a bit. They're going to end up looking something like, I think this is alright. This looks a bit Portuguese, but you know. There we go, that looks cool. And the Lion Team will be reduced to this just in Italy now. I did give them a province just to make them look slightly bearable, but they're going to become quite large from this one. Then we have the Purple Team actually getting all of this land. It's a lot, I know, and you may be saying, how are these guys going from a tiny little empire to, or a tiny little country down here in Albania, to a pretty big empire in the Balkans? And I say they have done this because all these countries, they have the same religion, same culture, same ethnicity, same language, same everything basically. They're all pretty much the same country, so it's not really going to be too hard. And plus, the people all the people in these countries wanted to reform the Albania. That's actually part of the reason Albania was so easy to take over all these countries, and because people really want to unite. Going with the theme of uniting, we also see in the next few years these two countries over here reunite with Albania, and the Albanian Empire, or as it's now known, is getting a lot stronger, and the Purple Team has their empire back, thank God. So there's going to be some stuff happening with these guys, and they're going to fix up some of these borders. Anyway, they also gain some land from Romania as well, but we do see the Hungarians gain quite a lot of land around here. This is to, I guess, the war spoils from Romania. Romania will still exist, but Russia is actually going to get this land from Hungary. This is for actually just a thanks for joining the war, and they're also going to get this land from Romania, and Russia has grown in size again. And Romania is now a sad little country here. Anyway, that's a European treaty done, and there's a lot of big countries in Europe. There's actually just only a few countries in Europe at this point. They're all very big, and it's just it's a lot different. It's a lot different from the beginning of the war. Coming over to China now, this is where we can see a lot of changes, as they're going to get really balkanized. The Germans, they invaded into a bit of China, so they're going to get a colony down here in China. This is the first, I think, the first Asian colony. They're just going to gain, this is like, I guess, not Hong Kong, but it's like kind of like what Hong Kong was, but a lot bigger. Then I have the Japanese gaining control of Taiwan over here. We also see them gaining control of all this Korean land, and also the rest of this Japanese land. Korea is now, as I said last, they are annexed into Japan. And Japan is also going to take, not that, but they're also going to take a colony down here in China, and yeah, it's nice. Anyway, over here, guess who's back? Back again. Oh no, we see the return of Shandong thousands of years after they last existed. They are back now, and I hate that colour actually. Shandong will return. Then see Vietnam getting this land around here, and then Japan will get all this, and Thailand is reduced to just this. We then see the new country pop over here. This is the pink country here. I hate that colour actually. I'm going to change that. I don't know. I'm going to make it like a still a bit pink, but like I make it like a bluish. There's a lot of blue in this area, you know. It's not really a good colour you can make these guys, if I'm honest. Like gold. I quite like a goldish. I don't know. I'm okay with this. I might change it in the future, but I'm fine with it for now. We also have a red country here pop up, and now China is officially no longer an empire. They are a lot smaller than they used to be, and this area has been very changed. The capital of this country is going to be here. The capital of Shandong is going to be where it used to be thousands of years ago, and the capital of the red country is going to be up here. And yeah, that is, I think, everything. I don't think there's anything else. Oh yeah, the colonies of Italy were given to other countries. The French one was given over. Oh no, this one down here in Argentina was given to France. This one was given to the British Union, and this Australian one was given to Germany. But I believe that's all the changes in this war. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's anything else. Scanning one sec. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in this war that I haven't covered yet. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is definitely probably the biggest war yet in the series, and maybe the biggest war for the rest of the series. We'll have to wait and see if that is true or not. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. You'll never miss one of these again. I'll see you in the next one, where we enter a new age, the early modern age. Bye bye.